All right. The webinar we're doing today is 4 things seniors are concerned about and the script that pulls them in. So we're going to talk about the script and the things you talk to seniors about so that you can pick up wallet share and grow your business. We're going to talk about how to set yourself apart from the regular salesperson. And there are a ton of salespeople working the senior market. In fact, part of what's happening with the health insurance industry is with the Affordable Care Act and the commission cuts that carriers are doing. In fact, some of them are pulling out of states and not even paying a commission. I see health insurance agents migrating over to the senior business. So we're going to talk about how to set yourself apart from a regular salesperson, or what I call a regular salesperson. We're going to talk about obvious, predictable buying behaviors that others don't see. At the end of this webinar, you're going to have a leg up on almost all your competitors because you're going to be able to talk about the buying behaviors that other salespeople don't see and that the prospect wants to hear about. In other words, we're going to help you avoid the headache of a senior Medicare script, the one that everyone else is using. And the reason we're going to help you avoid that is we're going to talk about what works. We're going to talk about the things that seniors are interested in the most. And in doing that, we're going to help you develop some powerful tie-down questions where your senior prospects are going to tell you what they want to buy. And in doing that, you will learn a dynamic trial close statement to eliminate the most common objections. You know, I always learn, I started with John Hancock in 1977, and I always learn if you get the same objection in 4 out of 5 presentation, you should probably start including that objection in your presentation. Well, we're going to talk about how to eliminate the objections because we already know what they are. My name is Lloyd Lofton. As I mentioned earlier, I started with John Hancock in 1977 in Alton, Illinois, back when I was a debit agent. I have been in the business for a lot of years. I've been writing articles in industry-related magazines since 2004, including Life Insurance Selling Magazine, Insurance News Net Magazine, Retirement Advisor. I was on the Agent Advisory Board for Senior Market Advisor Magazine. I would encourage everyone and invite everyone on the call today to go to LinkedIn after the call. Don't take a break in the call. Don't do that split screen. I'll see you doing it. But go to LinkedIn, type in my name, Lloyd Lofton, and connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a big network of 15,000 first-degree connections. I'm happy to make introductions and help you if I can. But I invite you to go to LinkedIn and let's connect. I've been interviewed by the Wealth Channel through American College with Eric Gordon. I've been interviewed by Scott Drake through Annuity News Now. And you can find my article on the formula for earning $100,000 a year selling insurance on Insurance News Net. Just type in Google Lloyd Lofton formula to earn $100,000 and you'll find it there. Or you can sit in on an upcoming webinar we have that I do on earning the $100,000 and get the actual article itself. So before we talk about the script, let's talk about what that marketplace is out there, that senior marketplace, so that we're all using the same terminology and we all have the same understanding. You know, what I like about the senior market, although this is applicable to all markets, but what I like about the senior market is it's predictable. Now I'm going to walk you through what I mean by predictable. And what I mean by that is if the male is turning 65, more often than not all the time, but more often than not, his wife is how old? About 62, right? And if that male's turning 65, we know that he's going to do 3 things almost without exception. We know that he's going to sign up for Social Security. We know that when he signs up for Social Security, he will automatically be enrolled in Medicare. In fact, if he's going to choose to continue to work for a little while longer, he'll have to opt out of Part B. And we know that 80% are going to get some kind of supplemental product, either a Med Advantage or Medicare supplement product. So this is a predictable marketplace. This isn't a question if they're going to do these things. This is a fact. The statistics show that that's exactly what they do. They sign up for Social Security, they're automatically enrolled in Medicare, and 80% will get some kind of supplement. Now, is there anything else predictable about this marketplace that will help us develop our marketing strategy and our script strategy? Well, we know that 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. Is there anything else we know about that? Well, we know what that supplement costs, right? Whether it's MedAdvantage or MedSup, they're filed in every state. We already know what they're going to cost. What else do we know? Do we know where they're going to get the money to pay for it? I would submit to you that you absolutely know where they're going to get the money to pay for it. If the male's turning 65 and the wife is 62, they've been paying for health insurance for 30 years or longer. Even if they have group coverage, they're paying for dependent coverage. So they already have $8,000 to $12,000 to $18,000 or more a year allocated in their monthly disposable income to pay for health insurance. So when this male turns 65 and signs up, or 66, depending on what year he was born, signs up for Social Security and he's automatically enrolled in Medicare, what he's going to do is he's going to reposition $1,500 to $2,000 out of his budget that he's already spending on health care. He's going to reposition that to pay for that supplement. Now, here's what's predictable that we haven't talked about. I already know what his spouse is going to do, because when he comes off that plan, when he comes off that health plan that him and his wife have had these many years, what's going to happen? His wife's going to have to get her own standalone health plan, isn't she? That means that she'll need a major med or a simplified issue package with maybe an accidental rider and a critical illness plan. Now, do we know where she's going to get the money to pay for this? Absolutely. Remember, we said that they already have $8,000 to $12,000 to $18,000 or more a year allocated in their monthly disposable income to pay for this. So when he repositions $1,500 to $2,000 a year to pay for his supplemental, she's going to reposition the balance of the money they've been paying for health insurance for 30 years to pay for her health plan. Now, you see under the top one, final expense, I'm going to show you why you should package final expense, although this isn't final expense training. We have an upcoming final expense training I would encourage you to sit in on. But this is exactly why you should package final expense with that. In the final expense training you can get in my membership site or in an upcoming training, I'll show you exactly how to do that. So I said predictable buying behaviors. Well, we already know that the male turning 65 is going to sign up for Social Security, automatically be enrolled in Medicare, and 80% are going to get a supplement. We know what that supplement is going to cost, right? Because they're filed in every state. We know where they're going to get the money to pay for it, because it's already in their budget. And we know that when he buys that supplement, which hopefully he's buying it from you, we know that his wife's going to need her own standalone plan. So we already know what he's going to buy, when he's going to buy it, how much he's going to pay for it, and where he's going to get the money from. Is there another market out there that you can predict what people are going to do any better? So is there anything else? Well, we said at age 65, she's going to age into Medicare. So let's look at that retirement money. On average, if you go to socialsecurity.gov, on average, the Social Security check for a male that's recently retired is $1,341. And on average, from the same website, socialsecurity.gov, you'll find that the average retirement from his work is about $1,200 a month. It's $2,500 a month on round figures. But what else do we know? Well, his wife's Social Security on average is about $900. The spouse's Social Security is usually a little bit less. And there's a lot of reasons for that, primarily because a lot of times the wife has stopped working and raised the kids and then went back to work, or the husband makes more money. But on average, that's what it is. You can go to socialsecurity.gov and you can get those numbers right there. So at the husband's death, now this is predictable. We already know this is going to happen. We already know what the average age is of someone that's passing away. So if you fast forward 10 or 15 years, that husband's going to pass away. On average, women live longer than men. And at her husband's death, that wife is going to have a choice. She's going to either choose to keep her husband's Social Security because it's higher than hers, it's based on a formula, or she's going to keep her Social Security. Now, what do you think she's going to do? Do you think she's going to take her husband's or keep hers? If you said she's going to take your husband's, I would agree with you. But let's look at this buying decision. Remember, this whole webinar is about the predictable buying behaviors. Let's look at this buying decision. When she makes the understandable, reasonable decision to take his Social Security because it's higher than hers, what's the other decision she's making? What's the other choice that she's making? Well, when she takes his Social Security, she's also giving up hers. So she's making the choice in the first year that her husband passed away, the most emotionally devastating time in her life, to live on $10,800 a year less money. That's why you should package final expense with a supplemental product, because they already have the money in their budget and it's already something on their mind. But let's extrapolate. I already know, this is predictable, I already know that in the 10 years after her husband passed away, she's going to live on $108,000 less income. Is that something that you should be talking to her about? So you can get more of this information in an article I wrote called The Retirement Prequel. I also cover all this stuff in our membership site. This article was in Insurance News Net magazine. You can go on there and see that article. So let's talk about the 4 things seniors are concerned about. There's 4 things that seniors are typically concerned about. So he's going to sign up for Social Security. He's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare. 80% are going to get a supplement. They're concerned about managing their doctor's expenses. They're concerned about managing their prescription expenses. And they're concerned about managing their hospital expenses. They're also concerned about the cost of recovery at home after a procedure, short-term care or long-term care. And they're concerned about not leaving a financial burden to their family. In other words, leaving a legacy. So your challenge is to how can you help them adjust the product to meet the needs that they're concerned about the most, so that the solution that they get from you is one that helps you get wallet share in the home and keeps them as part of your book of business. Well, I would tell you, if you want to make more, you have to get better. So let's talk about how you can get better in your conversation with your senior prospects. And the reason that you have to get better is if you use the same script, whether it's the phone script to set an appointment or the presentation script if you're selling online, if you use the same script and the same presentation, if you use the same script, the same presentation, and the same close as every other salesperson that contacts that senior, then to that senior, who are you? Right? To the consumer, to that consumer, aren't you just another salesman? So I said one of the first things we're going to talk about doing is how you can make yourself different than the regular salesperson. So the traditional approach is the salesman calls them up and says, I can save you money on your premium. I want to get you the best rate, or I can explain Medicare to you. And that's a script that every salesperson says to them. That's a script they hear probably 10 to 15 times a week in the 6 months before they turn 65. That's the header on all the postcards, marketing letters, and every other piece of marketing that they get, is those traditional approaches to same things. So I'm going to talk about what you can do differently. And what I would tell you have to do differently is you have to think about what your role is and who you are in your role. And I'm going to talk about a predictable behavior that we all engage in, just so that we can assimilate with this concept of predictable buying behavior. So let's talk about you. Let's say you're down in Florida, and let's say that you're not feeling well. And so you go to the doctor. Let's say you go to Dr. A, and you describe your symptoms to Dr. A. Got a runny nose, my ear hurts, I feel achy, and my neck hurts. And Dr. A says, okay, Sandy, I know what's the matter with you. You can have this medicine, you can have this medicine, you can have this medicine, or you can have this medicine. Which medicine do you prefer? You go to Dr. B, and Laurel, you tell Dr. B exactly what your symptoms are. I've got a runny nose, my ear hurts, my neck hurts, and I feel achy. And Dr. B says, okay, Laura, I know what's wrong with you. He writes you a prescription, hands it to you, and tells you to come back in 10 days, take it twice a day, come back in 10 days and see me. Which doctor do you have more confidence in? Type in the box there and tell me which doctor you guys have more confidence in. So Dr. A says you can have this medicine, this medicine, this medicine, or this medicine. And Dr. B writes you a prescription, tells you to fill it, take it twice a day, come back and see me in 10 days. Yeah, that's right. B. Yeah, everybody's agreeing. Dr. B. Well, here's the question. Why do you have more confidence in Dr. B? They're both doctors. They're both trained. Why do you have more confidence in Dr. B? I would submit to you for consideration, you have more confidence in Dr. B because he diagnosed your problem and he prescribed the solution. The thing to consider is that our job, your job, is to sell the problem, not the solution. My counsel to you is to start being Dr. B with your prospects. And we're going to talk about how to do that today by using the questions, the tie-down questions, and the script we're going to show you. I go into more of this stuff in our membership site. But here's the thing I want you to think about. What should the conversation be? If the traditional approach is, I want to save you money, I want to get you a better plan, I want to explain Medicare to you. If the traditional approach does not separate you from all the other salespeople out there, then what should the conversation be about? Well, you're Dr. B, right? You're going to diagnose the problem and prescribe the solution. So I would tell you to talk to them about the things they use the most in the order they use those things. When the doctor comes into the room, the doctor's room, the nurse has already asked you, tell me what's going on today, how long have you felt that way? She's already taken your blood pressure, she's already taken your temperature, she's made her notes. Isn't it funny when the doctor walks in the room that he goes through and reads the notes again? And then he turns around to you and says, tell me what's going on? He just read the notes, right? You already told the nurse what's going on, he just read the notes. Why does he tell you to tell him what's going on? Because he talks to you about the things that are bothering you the most in the order that they're bothering you. The other thing that people like is they like two things. They like to hear their name and they like to have their opinion asked. So when we talk about what the conversation should be about, the conversation should be about the things that matter most to your prospect in the order that those things matter to them. And you should engage them by asking their opinion and using their names. So let's look at the 4 things that seniors are concerned about. There's 4 primary things that seniors are concerned about. The 76 to 78 million baby boomers that are aging into that marketplace between January 2011 and 2030. And we already talked about this for a minute, but they're concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, which is a short-term care or a long-term care product, or not leaving a financial burden for their family. In other words, leaving a legacy. So that's the conversation we need to have with them. Now, how do you have that conversation? I would tell you, don't sell me something, solve me something. You know, the bad part about being in our business is we get trained on product, right? In fact, with every broker dealer that you're set up with or carrier you're set up with, they always tell you, attend this week's sales training, but it's never sales training. It's always product training. And the problem with becoming proficient on a product is we think that it's important to tell the prospect how much we know. We want to show them how much we know. But the prospect doesn't care how much we know until they know how much we care. So we have to sell the problem and then tell them what the solution is. So what I would tell you is if you want to make more, you can't use the same approach. If you want to make more, you can't use the same script as everybody else. You want to make more, you can't use the same presentation as everybody else. And if you want to make more, you have to get better. You can't use the same clothes. Because when you do, you are the exact same salesperson that everyone else that contacts them. So I'll go through all this stuff on our membership website. I'm going to show you a little bit more about that as we get done with this, because you're going to have access to all the training that we're talking about today. So let's talk about you. Let's go back to you. We said this whole webinar is about predictable buying behaviors. Let's put you behind the wheel of being a predictable buyer. So I'm guessing everyone on this call has bought a car at some time or another, right? You gone to a dealership and bought a car? Now, a dealership is a destination place, isn't it? I mean, it's not like you're driving down the street and you see a Krispy Kreme donuts and you say, oh, let's stop and get a donut. If you're driving down the street and you see a car dealer, you're going in there because you have an interest in a car. Wouldn't you say that's true? So what happens? You pull in the car dealership, You park your car, you get out of the car salesman comes up to you, and the car salesman says, Kurt, can I help you? And you go, no, I'm just, what do you say to him? I'm just what? Type in the box there and tell me what you say. Can I help you? You park your car in the dealership lot, you get out of your car salesman comes up and says, can I help you? And you say, yeah, exactly. You say, I'm just looking, right? Yeah, just looking, exactly. Now, here's what's ironic about that, is 2 hours later, you drive off the lot with a new car, paying more than you said you were going to pay when you pulled in there. The irony of it is you lied too. It's just human nature. And it's not that we're necessarily lying to the salesman. We're actually there because we have an interest in a car. The truth is, we just don't want to be sold, right? So when the salesman says, can I help you? Or what are you here for today? We say, just looking. So what I would submit to you is the same way you buy is the same way your prospects buy. So when you're calling leads, whether it's a direct mail lead, telemarket lead, whatever it is, and people say they're not interested, they're giving you the same resistance that you give the salesman when you go out. Because let's look at this whole buying behavior of the car. So the car salesman says, can I help you? You say, no, I'm just looking. And then you pick out a car, don't you? Now, you take that car for a test drive. Now, before you take that car for a test drive, you get behind the steering wheel, maybe the car salesman sitting in the seat next to you. Do you adjust anything on the car? You type in the box there and tell me the kind of things you adjust. Before you take the car out for a test drive, what are some of the things that you adjust? Are you adjusting the seat, the windows, the mirror, the radio, the air conditioning? Yeah, I do. I adjust a lot of that stuff. The salesman's attitude? Yeah, I like that. Here's what I would submit to you. You adjust the radio, you adjust the rear view mirror, you adjust the seat. I would submit to you that what you're doing is you're adjusting the things you use the most in the order you use those things. And then you take that car out for a test drive. Now, the irony of it is when you pull out of the dealership slot, have you ever noticed they always have you turn right? So you turn right and you go down like a mile, they have you turn right again, and turn right again, and come back in the dealer's lot. They do that because 78% of everybody is right-handed. And the insurance companies show that most accidents happen when you turn left, not right. So that's why they have you do right-handed turns. But you get back in the dealership lot, he has you park the car, right? Where's he have you park it? Right next to yours, right? So you can see what a piece of crap you're driving. And then where do you go? Do you go anywhere when you get out of the car with the salesman? Do you go inside the dealership? If you go inside the dealership, you sit down in a little cubicle with the car salesman. And when you sit down at the cubicle with the car salesman, why are you in there with the salesman? What are you there to talk about? Are you there to talk about which car you're going to buy? Or are you there to talk about how much you're going to pay for that car? My guess is you're in there to talk about how much you're going to pay for that car. And the reason for that is you have already taken emotional ownership over that car. You're just there to discuss how much you're paying for that car. So here's my question. When we talk about predictable buying behavior, so far we've been able to predict everything you do, right? When we talk about predictable buying behaviors, how can you help your prospect adjust an insurance product to fit them so that they take emotional ownership over the product? It's kind of a challenging question, isn't it? In this webinar today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, because in the membership site that you're going to get access to, you have the opportunity to get all the training on these questions and tie-down questions, and you'll have an opportunity to get the actual script that goes with what we're going to show you today. So here's what happens. You go in there and you discuss with the salesman how much you're paying for that car, because you've already taken emotional ownership over that car, and then you leave. Now, the irony here is you drive off the lot with a new car, usually paying more than what you said you were going to pay, right? And most of that all took place by asking questions. The other analogy I want to give you is my wife and I went out to dinner last weekend. We go to Longhorn. I like the salmon salad. My wife gets a steak. But the irony of that is, it was like, I don't know, $60 or something. But the irony of that is we were never asked to buy anything. We were seated. The waitress came up and said, "Can I get you a drink?" My wife ordered Diet Coke. I ordered a Sprite. The waitress came back and said, "We decided what we wanted today." I ordered the salmon, no dressing. The salmon salad, no dressing. My wife ordered the steak with a baked potato. She asked if we wanted any of these other things with it. Then she brought the food back, set it down. We ate. About 10 minutes in the meal, she came back and said, "Can I refill your drinks?" At the end of the meal, she came over and said, "What dessert are we going to have today?" We happened to not get a dessert. I asked her to refill my drink again in a to-go cup, and she handed me the check. Now, I spent $60 an hour in a restaurant with nobody asking me to buy anything because the buying behavior was predictable. And she did it all with questions. She didn't ask me to buy one thing, she just did it with questions. So we're going to talk about questions. How can you use questions to uncover the 4 things that seniors are concerned about? And I'm not talking about the typical questions. You're all great salespeople. I get that. You already know how to ask the what, where, why, when, who, and how questions. Those are real basics. I mean, if you don't know that, you should private message me, and it will absolutely help you, because that's the basics you learn in sales. The questions that I'm going to talk to you about today are tie-down questions. Now, just let me take a survey. Has anybody used tie-down questions before? Are you familiar with them? Just type in the box here and let me know if anyone is familiar with tie-down questions. Okay, some of you have heard of tie-down questions before. I'm going to show you the tie-down questions, but I might put a little bit of spin on the tie-down questions for you, because there's actually 4 different types of tie-down questions. The tie-down questions are generally used at the end of a sentence. You usually already know the answer to the question, and they're most commonly used to, number 1, get an agreement on a small point. I've done that with you guys today numerous times. That's why you've typed stuff in the box. You ask it when you already know the answer to be yes, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, and the questions that generate that yes. And you ask tie-down questions because it gets and gives acknowledgement from the prospect that they understand and they agree with the solutions that you're discussing. Tie-down questions are critical to successful sales. There's a variety of them. They have to be done with a warmth in your voice. You can't use tie-down questions too much because it sounds like you're doing a third degree on them. So there's 4 types of tie-down questions, and I'm going to show you how to use them smoothly in a conversational way with your script. The first one is you use a tie-down as an inverted sentence. You recast each sentence as you go, and you say them aloud in the inverted form. So practice this. More progressive companies are using computers today, aren't they? The tie-down is aren't they? That's the tie-down. Now, the reason that you want to learn that is because the response you're going to get from people is yes. You can also invert that by doing it, and this is what the invert is. So we did a tie-down, here we're going to do the invert. Aren't a lot of companies using computers today? You see how we just took the aren't and put it in the front? Aren't a lot of companies using computers today? And people go, oh yeah, they are. It'd be great to have an advanced computer, wouldn't it? The other word wouldn't it is a tie-down. The wouldn't it inverts to, wouldn't it be great to have an advanced computer? So think about the 4 things we said seniors are concerned about. Does anybody remember what they are? If you remember what the 4 things are, or any of the 4 things, just type in the box, okay? Type in there, let me see what you remember. So we're going to use the things, doctors, absolutely, exactly, hospitals, prescriptions, good, you guys are great. So the things, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to use tie-down questions and match them with the things that matter most to your prospects so that their answers will help them design a solution they're willing to pay for. Sometimes you have to change an extra word or 2, help smooth the sentence out. I'm going to show you that because I do that a lot. So here's the question I have for you. Should you be using questions or a script? Now, what I like about a script is a script gives you a format to follow. But I would tell you a script has to become an integrated part of your sales personality. A script cannot be words that you read off a piece of paper or a computer screen that you're just regurgitating back to the prospect. So what I would tell you, in my terminology, is to learn how to ask really good questions. Now, the questions are part of the script, but I want to change the focus from the script, the typical script that the typical salesperson uses. I want to put the focus back on the questions. Let me show you how this works. It's kind of like being a lawyer. I only ask questions that I already know the answer to. So we're going to drill down now to the predictable behaviors of our prospects. I'm going to show you how to help your prospect adjust an insurance product to fit them so that they ask you to buy it. And the first question is, I'll use one of you as an example. So let me go with Julia. So Julia, let me ask you a question. Do you think that as you age, do you get more healthy or less healthy? So everybody type in the box and tell me what you think the answer is. Julia, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Less healthy, yeah. Now, see how that's predictable? I already know the answer to the question. 80% of your prospects are going to say less healthy. Yeah, you're going to have that one, obstinate little person there that's always going to be oppositional to you and is going to say something else. But, what I learned a long time ago with Combined Insurance Company is you learn a script and a presentation and a close the way 80% of your prospects buy, and that will help you get success. So these questions I'm giving you here are questions that I already know what the answer is going to be. And my guess is when I ask you to type in the box, you're going to know the answer. So Julia, let me ask you a question. As you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? She says, well, less healthy. Now, as you get less healthy, do you believe that your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? So you guys be nice enough to type in the box, more expensive. Good guy. You guys are great. Now, I want to point out something here. First of all, is this helpful to you? Are these questions helpful to you? Let me know if these are helpful so I can show you some other ones. So I want to point out, great comments. So I want to point out something to you. You see the words that are bolded here? So let's go to the first one. Julia, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Those words that I bolded, those are to be emphasized. That's where you use voice inflection and tone of voice. So Julia, as you age, do you think you get more healthy? You notice that I stretched out the O-R-E, more healthy, and I'm going to shorten the word less, but I'm going to bold it. I'm going to emphasize it with my tone of voice. So Julia, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? See how the octave of my voice went down and I shortened the word less healthy? That emphasizes that that's part of that tie down for them, and that's what pulls them in. When you do this and you become really proficient at this, you will actually see people lean into you. And the follow-up question, now, Julia, as you get less healthy, do you believe that your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? Did you feel me do the exact same thing? I drew out the word more, I lowered the octave of my voice and shortened the word less. Now, Julia, as you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? Now, the irony of this is, do you know what the answer is? You guys type in the box there and see if you know what the answer is. As you age, Sandy, as you age, do you think your medical expenses will become more expensive or less expensive? Yeah, absolutely. Less expensive. I mean, more expensive. Exactly. So you guys know more than me. It becomes more expensive. So what do you think is the follow-up question? So we're already starting to put our prospects in a funnel so that we're talking to them about the things they use the most in the order they use it. We're creating a paradigm where they start taking emotional ownership over their problems. And I want you to notice, what am I selling? I haven't talked about a product, a carrier, or a price. I'm talking about the problem they're going to have. I'm selling the problem. I don't sell products. And I'm advising you, my counsel to you is don't sell products. I'm selling the problem. So, Beth, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, Beth, as you get less healthy, do you believe that your medical expenses will become more expensive or less expensive? She says more expensive. Is that what you want to have happen, Beth? Now, it's predictable. I already know the answer. I already know that the answer is no, that's not what she wants to have happen. I don't ask if she thinks that's going to happen or she is expecting that to happen, because I already know she's going to say, well, yeah, of course it's going to happen. I want to know if that's what she wants to have happen, because 80% of the people are going to say, no, that's not what I want to have happen. So we've talked about as they age, they get less healthy, not more healthy. We've talked about as they get less healthy, their medical expenses become more expensive, not less expensive. And we've got them to agree that that's not what they want to have happen. So now they're in our funnel. So we said, as you age, you think you get more healthy or less healthy? As you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? Is that what you want to have happen? Then we do down the tie down. What plans do you have to manage those growing medical expenses as you age, Betty? Now that's called a trial close with a tie down. What plans do you have to manage those growing medical expenses as you age? You see, on this appointment, I'm not going to give them the information on the product or the price unless I know that I actually have a prospect in front of me. I want to make sure that they're not going to tell me, well, my brother-in-law sells insurance. I had an agent out here last week. I've already got bid on one. I just bought one last week. All the nonsense that we hear. I want them to take emotional ownership over their problem, and it's their problem, not mine. Remember, I have the solution. But I want to help them adjust the product to fit the things they use the most in the order they use them. So what plans do you have to manage these growing medical expenses as you age? Notice how I emphasize the words in bold. I'm not going to comment on that much more, but when you see the words bolded, just in your own mind, say the words out loud to yourself while you're sitting there. Say them out loud to yourself. So here's the follow through. So now we've sold the problem, right? We sold the problem. Now we're going to move them to designing their own solution. I say, now, Mark, let me ask you this. Do you mind if I ask, why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or your worst health year? So you guys type in the box there. Do you all have health insurance? Do you have it for your best health year or your worst health year? Which one? Yeah, your worst health year, of course. James, send me an email and I'll talk to you about the T65. So for your worst health year, right? Now, notice again, I'm selling the problem. I'm not talking about a solution. I'm selling the problem. So, Betty, let me ask you a question. Why do you have health insurance? Do you have it for your best health year or your worst health year? Okay, your worst health year. So you're a lot like I am. I have health insurance for my worst health year. Let me ask you this. In your worst health year, are you expecting to pay out of your pocket for medical care? Or do you see an insurance company paying these growing medical expenses at some point? Notice how I'm selling the problem. Now, how do we get them to start designing the solution to fit them? Well, let's move on with this. So they've told me that they have health insurance for their worst health year, not their best health year, and that at some point they expect the insurance company to pay for it. Now what I'm going to talk to them about, we're going to start moving. We've got them in the funnel. They're taking emotional ownership. Now I'm going to start helping them design a solution they're willing to pay for today. Now, I said in the beginning when we went through the agenda that they're going to tell me what they want to buy. They're going to ask me to buy it and tell me what they're going to buy. I want you to watch how this happens. Now, Frank, let me ask you this. How do you prefer to access healthcare? Do you need to manage your monthly budget? You don't get sick very often? You don't mind seeing a doctor that's in a network? You're willing to pay some out of your pocket each time you go see a doctor, have a procedure, or if you're hospitalized, to have your premiums a little bit lower? Or do you want to be able to go see any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country who accepts Medicare assignment, show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill? What did we say about the bolded words? You emphasize that, right? Did you get the voice inflection? And you noticed how I slowed down on that last part of it? Who accepts Medicare assignment, show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. So my prospect's 65 years old or 68 years old or whatever. They spent their whole life paying copays and deductibles when they go to the doctor and getting a bill afterwards. And I said, show your benefit card. That's a behavior they engage in. They can picture themselves. I emphasize the word show and stretch out benefit card. Show your benefit card. Receive your medical care. They picture themselves in the doctor's office, showing their benefit card, getting their medical care, leaving. They get home, open the front door, and they don't get a bill and never seen a bill. Which way do you prefer to access healthcare? Their answer is going to give me a good idea. I've got them in my funnel. Their answer is going to give me a pretty good idea whether it's MedAdvantage or MedSup. Now, I'm going to show you how else to use those tie downs. Remember, we said a tie down is used when you already know what the answer is going to be. So here's my question. Now, John, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden to your family? Which one of those matters the most to you? So we talked to them about what happens when they age, right? They get less healthy. We said when they get less healthy, their medical expenses become more expensive. We talked to them about why they have insurance for their worse health year. We talked to them about the fact that they wanted health insurance company at some point to start paying for their care. And we talked to them about how they like to access healthcare, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to help them adjust the mirror on the car, the radio, the seat, the air conditioning. We're going to help them make those adjustments. Now, Frank, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? Yeah, you're right, Tony. I see that there. There are 5 things. But the 4th thing is the ancillary product, right? So I said that you should package a final expense with your Medicare supplement or your MedAdvantage plan. So you package either a final expense or a short-term care or long-term care product. This is how you get more wallet share in the house and build your book of business. So that's the 4 things. So John, Frank, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden to your family, which is final expense? Now, we said a tie down is generally a question used at the end of a sentence. You already know the answer to it. Now, would you guys agree that I have known the answer to almost every question I've asked you today? I've never met you before, but I already knew what your answer was going to be. They're commonly used to get agreement on small points. You ask them when you already know the answer is yes. And you get and give acknowledgement from the prospect that they understand and agree with the solutions, as you guys have done with me today. So, Tony, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, and not leaving a financial burden for your family? Now, hold on, guys, because now I'm going to show you how to do that trial close and the pivot. So this is a different kind of close. So follow it. The answer is going to be, here's the question. Now, John, on the new plan, so the answer, let me go back. So the answer here, all right. Messed that up, didn't I? That's all right. All right. So the answer is, now, John, when you think about managing healthcare expenses, you're more concerned with managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, and not leaving a financial burden to your family. And John says, managing my doctor's expenses. So he's going to tell me the thing that matters most to him. He's going to tell me the thing he uses the most in the order he uses it. So I'm going to say, now, John, on any new plan you design today, then you want to make sure all your doctor bills are covered. Is that what I hear you saying? You see the tie down? Everybody see the tie down? Is that what I hear you saying? But let's look at this again. What did I actually say to him? So on any new plan you design today, who's designing the plan? He's designing the plan, right? And what kind of plan is it? It's a new plan. And if it's a new plan, what does that mean we're doing with the old plan? We're getting rid of it, right? And the word so is an injunction. That means that we are extending this to a different conversation now. So I've said when you think about managing healthcare expense, you're more concerned about managing the cost of doctor, hospital, prescription, recovering home after a procedure, not leaving a financial burden to your family. I want to manage my doctor's expenses. So on any new plan you design today, you want to make sure all your doctor bills are covered. Is that what I hear you saying? And he says, yes. Then I go right back to the original question and I leave this benefit out. And the reason I leave this benefit out is because I already know the answer. I've already closed on that minor point. So I'm not going to say doctor. I'm going to say, when you think about, right, notice I use the word now before I use so. Now I'm redirecting his thought process. And this is why you can eliminate objections. What happens when someone gives you an objection is the gear shift of sales resistance goes in neutral. They ask you a question that their routine, their habit, has taught them that if they ask that question, they'll get rid of the salesperson. So you can put their gear shift of resistance into neutral because every time you ask them a question, they're not thinking about objecting. They're listening to the question so they can think of the answer. So I'm going to redirect their mind again and say, now, when you think about managing the rest of your healthcare expenses, notice I emphasize the word rest. I'll go back to the rest of it. Are you more concerned about managing the cost of hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after procedure, not leaving a financial burden to your family? Now, what word did I leave out? Doctor, right? And the reason I left doctor out is because we've already closed on it. There's no point in going over it again. Salespeople do that over and over and over again. They do a great job of selling. They sell themselves right into a product and a solution for the prospect, and then they sell themselves right out of it again. The biggest objection salespeople get is, I want to think about it. You should sit in on my handling objection presentation sometime. But the biggest objection salespeople get is, I want to think about it. And the reason your prospect wants to think about it is because you gave them something to think about. Now, when you think about managing the rest of your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? And notice that I only mentioned the things that they have not committed to yet. Now, you can go to lifehealthpro.com, and I have a whole article there on features and benefits. So when they answer you, you repeat it back to them again. So on any new plan you design today, I use the word then. Notice I insert the word then. Then you want to make sure that all your hospital bills are covered. Is that what I hear you saying? Is that correct? And they go, yeah. After you cover the 4 things seniors are concerned about, what are they concerned about? Managing the cost of doctors, hospital prescription, recovering home after procedure, and not leaving a financial burden for the family. After you cover those 4 things, in other words, they've told you the 4 things that matter most to them, then you close on that minor point. And when I say you close, remember I said at the beginning of this, you sell the problem and you tell the solution. So when I say close, I'm thinking tell. This is what close means to me. And the way I do it, if I'm there in person, if I'm sitting at the kitchen table in person, I'm going to lower my voice, make eye contact. I'm going to say, John, let me tell you how this works. Because he's already designed the plan, right? So on any new plan you design today, he's already designed his new plan. We already know what it's going to cover. It's going to cover doctors, hospital prescriptions, and not leaving a financial burden to his family. We already know what it's going to cover. So I don't have to, and notice I haven't mentioned product or price or carrier anywhere in this conversation. I say, John, let me tell you how this works. They will actually lean into you. If you're on the phone with them, if you're selling on the phone and you do the what I call the awkward pause, John, and then lower your voice. Let me tell you how this works. You can feel them on the phone actually lean into you. Because this is the time to sell. See, I sold the problem. Now I'm going to tell them about the solution. You sell the problem that you solve, not the product. So we've done that, right? Would everyone agree with that? That we've sold the problem? Type in the box if you think we've sold the problem. You think if anyone saw this presentation, they would think that of the problem they're having? Do you think this addressed the problem people have? Well, let's tell them about the product. So the product is, in this case, we're going to do Medicare supplement. So what I do is I tell them about Medicare, the 2017 Medicare amounts. I talk about Part A. I explain what the hospital deductible is. It's $1,316. they're hospitalized overnight or longer for a benefit period 60 days. They could have up to 5 of them in a year. Talk about hospital copays. I'm simply telling them about this. And I'm reaffirming with them that these are the things they expect the new plan they designed today to cover. So if they if they're hospitalized overnight or longer, then on the new plan they designed today, they want to make sure the $1,316 that they have to pay for Medicare is covered. I explained to them Medicare is like an 80-20 major med plan with a $1,300 deductible, because they'll understand that. They've been paying for health insurance for 30 years. They know that the insurance company pays 80% and they're going to pay 20%. Isn't that what Medicare does? I'm going to put them in that seat that they've been in their whole life. I'm going to talk about the Part B premium of $134. Now, most people have that come right out of their Social Security check. Anyway, so that's the problem. And I just told them the solution. And the way I tell them that solution is with the plan you designed today, you will be able to go to any doctor, or hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare assignment. This illustration is based on selling a Plan F or a Plan G. So you'll be able to go to any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare assignment, show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. And that's what you were expecting, right, John? And they go, yeah, that's exactly what I want. See, that's exactly what you're expecting. And they will agree with you. Now, let me show you how this plan that you design works. And then this is how I do it right there. So on the plan you design, when you're hospitalized overnight or longer, instead of paying that $1,316, you're going to pay $0. And I'm going to go right through those. You're going to pay $0. I sold the problem. Now I'm telling them about the solution. So what we've talked about today is how for you to not use the same approach. Type in the box and tell me if you think we covered that so that you don't use the same approach. We talked about how you are not going to use the same script. Are you not going to use the same presentation? Same clothes. In other words, to your customer, type in the box and tell me, what's your commitment? Are you going to be Dr. A or Dr. B to your customers from now on? Good. Dr. B, I love it. I love it. Remember, the 4 things that seniors are concerned about are managing the cost of doctors, hospital prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for their family. Let's go back and close this call today on the marketplace again. So for males turning 65, he's going to do 3 things almost without exception. He's going to sign up for Social Security, he'll automatically be enrolled in Medicare. 80% are going to get a supplement. I encourage you to package a final expense with it because his spouse is going to need her own standalone health plan. And a few years later, her husband's going to pass away because women live longer than men. And at her husband's death, she's going to take his Social Security, which is why I encourage you to package that final expense with it. So let's talk about the script. My website is 7-Figure Sales Tools. But don't go to 7-Figure Sales Tools because my whole course package is $249, and that's not anything you guys should have to pay. But when you log into the membership site, you get a welcome page here. You can join the private group. You click on where it says content right here. And the course that I'm going to allow you guys to get in today is called the script course. The script we went through today is in this course. But what would be a fair price? Well, I do training with Lorman Education Centers. So if you went into my Perfecting Your Inside Sales methodology back on May 12th with Lorman Education, I do it's a 1-hour training just like this one that you didn't pay a dime for. You're going to pay $99. So people sell my training all the time for $99. In fact, if they want the audio and the workbook with it, they pay $168. You can come in September, and I'm doing a training on how to recruit and hire top performing sales professionals for call centers, and that's on September 22nd. Now, how much will these people pay to get on that? Well, $105 for the 1-hour training, $140 if they want the audio and the reference manual. But it'd be ridiculous for you to get 21 lessons, 21 different scripts, and pay $99 a piece for them, right? So there's 21 scripts in here, everything from insurance sales to using your voice, the setting appointments, the closes, and different markets. I even put different markets in here so you can assimilate how to use the tie-down questions and the trial closes. There's 21 scripts. You get a scroll bar here that tells you exactly where you're at in learning these scripts. Remember, if you went to Lorman, you'd pay $99 for each one of these lessons, not the course, each lesson. The 21 scripts at $99 a piece, you'd pay $2,000 if you sat in on each of my trainings with Lorman. But that's not what we're going to do today. You're going to get all 21 scripts, including the script you got today, including the scripts we went through in this presentation, for $97. 21 scripts for $97. And that includes the Medicare supplement script we did today. You're going to get an email in just about 5 minutes. And that email is going to have the free download I promised you. And that free download is going to talk to you about asking the questions. And you're going to have a link to make that purchase for $97, not the $247 you just saw on the screen. You're going to also get a bonus course in there. And that's bonus because you guys deserved it. You took the time out of the field to be on this call. You gave up the chance to earn a commission and took time away from your family to learn. And I appreciate that. So I want to make sure that you get a bonus for purchasing this course. And that bonus includes, when you log into it under lesson 1 of the bonus, you're going to see the downloads here. And you're going to get a whole bunch of downloads on all different subjects to build your business, including 5 steps to live events and all kind of stuff in there. And this is a bonus. You're not paying a dime extra for this. 12 questions for sales professionals, 50 call to actions for templates are all in there under the download. So what I encourage you to do, when you get that email, which you should be getting right about now, I encourage you to click the link and download the free download that I gave you for being on the call, because your time is worth something, and I want to make sure that I recognize and show you my appreciation for you being on the call. And then click on the image that says click here and get the course for $97. It's pennies. You will make 10 times that $97 the first 3 times you use this script. That's going to show you how to eliminate objections, and it's going to show you how to not sound like every other salesperson. It's only going to be $97. You're going to get 21 scripts. So listen, I appreciate everybody being on the call today. I'm going to stay around for a couple of minutes and answer any questions you have. So if you got any questions, type them in the box now, and I'll be glad to answer them. If you have a question that, or something you want to talk to me about outside of the offline here, you can email me. My email address is lloyd@lloydlofton.com. You can call my cell phone number for something I can help you with, and I'm more than happy to take your call. Do you have training on selling med subs over the phone? Absolutely. In fact, in that course with the scripts, there are scripts there that you can use to do that, to sell online. There's extra scripts in there. There's also future webinars, so make sure that you send me an email and say you want to be on the list for all future webinars. But I'm also willing to take a phone call from you, James. So if you want to call me, I'm happy to talk to you about that. But in that course that you're going to get today, the script course, it's got scripts in there for selling it online. So I appreciate you being on the call today. Let me see if there's any more questions that people have. I just answered your question. All right, great. Appreciate that, Karen. So you should be getting that email like any minute now. And then after the webinar, you're going to get an additional email that's going to have another link to the download. It's going to have another link to get the course. I know people are busy. You're going to get off this call and may have to go do some sales or something. But I want to make myself available for you. So if you have a case-specific question, a sales or marketing question you want to ask about, call my cell phone number, 865-776-7632. Or you can always email me directly. And the script that we use today, the tie-down information, the trial close information, and the script we went through today is in that script course. So I encourage you to get that. You're going to make a lot of money with it. It's going to help you be Dr. B. So unless there's any more questions, I'm going to jump off the call here. You're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely. I appreciate all the nice comments. You're welcome. So I'm going to jump off the call. Make sure everybody check your email right now and just let me know that you got it if you got it. Good, good. I'm glad to see you guys are getting that. All right, you're welcome. Sandy, you're welcome. Frank, John, Bill, you guys are welcome. I really appreciate your time. So if you haven't got your email yet, you'll get that email any minute, and click that link to get your free download. Get that $97 course. When you get that $97 course, you'll be on my mailing list. You'll get notice of all future webinars. You'll get a members only webinar. You'll get members only information. You'll have access to affiliate programs where you can get discounts on leads and other type of things for being a member of the 7-Figure Sales Tools. So I'll throw it out there one last time. Any other questions or comments anybody wants to make before we jump off the call? Hey, I'm proud of you. You stuck around for the whole call. I know we went fast and covered a lot of information, but you guys are great. You're smart. You're sharp. You're professional. You're going to do great with this. Take care. Bye-bye.